And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our presenters for Down the Rabbit Hole, Designing Thinking for AI. Michelle Lentz, who's the Senior Learning Strategist from ELB Learning, will be leading the presentation today. And supporting her is Ellen Burns-Johnson, who is the VIP, you are a VIP, Ellen. Sorry about that, of Learning Strategy with the Growth and Strategy team for ELB Learning. Also joining us behind the scenes is Jennifer Hassel, who I'm told is the stage mom for the session, and she'll be monitoring chat and Q&A, so you may see some responses from her. I don't want you to be surprised. And welcome, ladies. You can get started whenever you are ready.
Hi, everybody, and thank you, Nadine. And I will just share my screen here. Oops. Nadine, I can't seem to share my screen.
Do you see the little green share button at the bottom?
Yeah, it tells me that I'm not allowed to share.
Oh, okay. There you go. You should be all right now.
Yes, thank you so much.
Sorry about that.
That is okay. All right, so hopefully everybody can see my screen.
Looks like we're
And
seeing presenter mode, Michelle. Maybe.
well, that is not good, is it? All right, let's.
Almost like one window to the right. I want to offer tech support, but like I'm on a PC and you're on a Mac, so I always have to translate. There we go.
Better? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. So welcome down the rabbit hole, design thinking in AI. And what I'm going to do is talk about design thinking. And I'm going to talk about prompting and how to wrap the prompts into design thinking. It's just a different way to think about how you're writing your prompts for your various AIs. The AI I'm going to use in this instance is OpenAI, ChatGPT, but you can apply this to Claude or Gemini or whichever is the AI of your choice. Now, with that, I will also be wrapping this in Alice in Wonderland. So if you don't like Alice, I don't know what to tell you. I even have the Alice mug today. So with that, I will be coughing a little. I am just getting over COVID. I'm at the very tail end of that. So it's my first good day. So that's a good thing. But so please forgive my little coughing here and there. I'm really excited to take you on a journey down the rabbit hole. If you feel a little overwhelmed by vague results in AI, this is where I think structured prompting and design thinking is really going to help you refine your results with AI and get to what you want faster. And I think this Alice thing makes me happy, and I think it'll make the webinar a lot of fun. And fun is what we want. So just a little introduction. I'm a senior learning and AI strategist at ELB Learning. I started there in January. I've been having a great time. Previously, I was at UPS for 4 years, Oracle for 8 years, and I was an independent consultant. I've been in learning for 25 years, give or take. Ellen, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, so my name's Ellen Burns-Johnson. I'm the VP of the Learning Strategy Group at ELB Learning. And really what that means is I try to make sure that Michelle and the rest of her team members have what they need to help our customers. Previously, I was a lead game designer. And prior to that, I'd spent over a decade doing instructional design work and consulting, along with a little bit of K-12 in there, mixed in for good measure. So it's always an exciting time when you're working at the forefront of L&D technology. And I feel like we're all feeling a little bit of that, being on the front end of the wave right now. So I'm excited to hear from you all as Michelle takes us into Wonderland.
So we're going to start with an icebreaker. And I need 3 volunteers. We're going to do this in the chat. So I need 3 volunteers to be my, who wants to do this? We're going to do a story. So who wants to volunteer? If not, I know enough of you in this thing that I will volunteer you. So who wants to volunteer?
I see we have Casey and Paul and a couple excited people, but Marlena said specifically that she's in. So let's go with Casey, Paul, and Marlena as our 3 volunteers for chat.
Yay! Okay, thank you, everybody. We're going to do an icebreaker, and there's a reason behind the icebreaker. This isn't just a silly icebreaker. You're going to do a 1-word story. We're going to try and make a sentence or 2. We'll see how fast you guys go. The words must fit together to form a story, like once. So perhaps Casey would say once, Marlena would say upon, the next person would say and then you keep going. Once upon a time would be the next one. And you'll keep going until we make a sentence or 2, right? The first person or the second person doesn't know the word the first person is going to say, and so on and so on. And we'll just see what we get. So Casey, Paul, Marlena. All right, so we'll see what we get. So if you 3 are ready, Casey, we'll let you go first. Paul, you'll go second. Marlena, you'll go third. And you'll just keep going in that order. Casey, Paul, Marlena, Casey, Paul, Marlena. And so just type, Casey, let's go. Type a first word in the chat once. Okay, it could be any word, but let's go. Upon. Next. Time. Next. There. Were. This is where it's going to get fun. For. Bears. Who lived. I want to know what the bears do in a pineapple. And worked in ID.
Of course.
we can leave it at that. I love. Oh wait. Before now we have to finish the sentence. Before they stole. Oh gosh. Okay. We can leave that. Okay. Wait. What is our what is our final sentence here? Wait a
I'm
minute.
typing it out right now. I think it was once
Okay.
upon a time. Once upon a time, there were 4 bears who worked in instructional design before they stole a cucumber.
Wait a minute. They lived in a pineapple though, didn't they?
Oh, I missed the pineapple, which was the most important part.
Yes.
Who lived in a pineapple and worked in instructional design before they stole a cucumber.
I'm very glad they didn't live in a pineapple under the sea.
I thought that's where we were going. I really
I
did.
thought that's where we were going to. And the little song was in my head. Okay, this is fantastic, guys. Thank you very much for that. What we just did there was a neural network. Our story group, Casey, Paul, Marlena, just created our own neural network, which is how an LLM works. OpenAI, ChatGPT, that is a neural network. What we did is we understood natively characters, the bears, the subject, the arc of the story. They stole cucumbers and worked in ID. Basic grammar usage, subject, predicate, the order they had in line, Casey, Paul, Marlena, and the words said so far, the words that came before. So that is also how a neural network works. It's just predictive text. It understands the words most likely to come next after the words said before. So this is an LLM's neural network. So the animal didn't cross the street because it was too tired. It just understands, it runs all these calculations just to understand the words that come next, which is how it's talking so naturally to you. We just did that. We just mimicked a neural network. So I just wanted to say that's all it is. It's a one-word story machine, just like we were. So now I want to say a lot of the prompts we're going to use in this session are structured prompts. And I learned structured prompting, and I would recommend you subscribe to this. Ethan Mollick wrote Co-Intelligence. He's a doctor of business at Wharton School in Pennsylvania. And he's an AI genius. He is a game designer, and he wrote Co-Intelligence, and he writes a blog or a Substack called One Useful Thing. And he started out with structured prompting, and I highly recommend structured prompting for all of your prompts. You do not have to use all of these, but I recommend in your prompts, you use at least some of these. It helps guide your AI and get you where you want to be faster. And you'll see in the prompts I'm writing in these exercises, you'll see that there are bits and pieces of these in all the prompts. So I almost always give the AI a role and a goal. So the function served in the task, you are this. So I give the AI a clear role and goal. Setting a specific role narrows down the AI's responses to be more appropriate and targeted. Then I give it a request. The fundamental part of any prompt is a request. So what you want it to do. Then context or framing. So it's almost like a persona. Setting a context for its response to help it understand the background, why you're doing this, why you're asking it for this. And then persona, it influences the style, the tone, relevance of the responses for the intended audience. And then you can do format specification. So maybe you want it in bullets, maybe you want it in a table. So you can really specify your output. Maybe you need it in a CSV file. Constraints. Don't do this, do that. You're limited to this. 360 words. So you're going to give it constraints. Examples. The more examples you give it, the more precise your AI will be, your response. So all of these things, and then this is I love this. So this is AI, you are a senior L&D consultant. So that's our persona right there. You are a senior L&D consultant, and that's also a bit of our role and goal. You are a senior L&D consultant with expertise in leadership development training. Develop a leadership training model. This is our request. And here's our context for mid-level training managers, or for mid-level managers. Now we're going to give it a format. The module should include overview, key areas of focus. We're going to name them. Practice areas or practical exercises, and a feedback section. Now, constraints. Ensure the training is structured to be deliverable in a series of half-day workshops. Examples. Topics should include effective communication techniques, strategic decision-making, motivating teams for high performance, role and goal. Your role is to empower mid-level managers to become more effective leaders. The goal is to improve their ability to lead teams and make strategic decisions. So that's everything. You don't always have to give everything, but even giving some of these things will help get you a better response from your AI.
So Michelle, we have a couple notes coming in from the chat. Can we pause for a couple seconds? Yeah. So a couple things. We had one comment in here that I think Taya wrote just an amazing list of examples of different roles, right? And
yes.
and accessibility, accessibility experts. You can choose an editor, environmental sustainability manager, and these are all different roles, depending on what your role and goal or your request is that you might choose to adopt. And it's interesting to play around with that. If you keep like the rest of the prompt the same, but just change the role, you can see how much that that affects the output. I think a question that goes maybe a layer deeper into this is, will the model know best practices used in the industry? And I think the answer is it depends, but can you help us understand that a little bit more?
So far, yes. One thing to keep in mind with AI is it wants to please you very much. It's like an eager puppy. And so its willingness to please means it will and can hallucinate. So always double check your AI. One thing I highly recommend is ask your AI to cite its sources. If it gives you a bunch of information, say, hey, where did you get this information? And that way, where the information is coming from, because you need to know it's accurate. As an instructional designer, we are responsible for giving accurate information to our learners. So we can't just trust the AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just always recommend citing your sources. Yeah, but it does, I agree, Terry, it will give you fake citations, which is why you need to double check them. You can't just take the citations. You need to go check your citations.
I have one follow-up question for you, Michelle, before we move on. And I think that's when it comes to best practice used in the industry, for an industry that is as open and there's as much online discussion of the practice as in instructional design, it might make sense that the models that are out there have some of that in the data they were trained on. And so they might be able to pull that in on a general level. But if we're talking about something that's a more niche industry that might not have as many openly available online publications or just material out there, then is it safe? Well, should we assume that the models will be less accurate with that kind of knowledge or those knowledge of best practices?
AI is a mystery to all of us. One thing you can do, though, especially, and this is where I think it's brilliant if a company has a closed AI, because you have much more freedom to upload documents into a closed AI within your own system. But the other thing is, if you can upload informational documents that don't have personal identifying information, that don't identify your client information, and upload that into ChatGPT and say, create this information based on the documents I'm giving you. And that's where you can really create something and just constraint. That's your constraint, right? You're limiting it to the documents you're giving it. And then you're not going to have that problem. Also, somewhere in there, and it went by fast, Thea actually had a great prompt to use that you can attach to something. Show me working URLs to credible sources supporting your answer. Ensure the URLs are live. That will work with Gemini and it will work with ChatGPT. It won't work with Claude. But that's a good prompt to use.
All right. Well, I'll keep an eye on the chat, Michelle, and we'll queue up some more questions for the next pause point. Why don't you? Let's move on.
Cool. All right. Now we're going to dive into design thinking. So this is design thinking model. Now, I love design thinking. I use it for everything. I think this is just the best thing ever. Design thinking was created by a company called IDEO with Stanford University many years ago. And it starts with empathy and empathizing with your users. The next step is defining your problem, really finding, after talking to your users, really finding out what is bothering them, what do they need. You define the problem. Then you ideate. ideate, 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 iterate, iterate, iterate. And then once you figure it out, you prototype it, you test, test, test until you get the right idea. But design thinking kind of dovetails a little with agile in that you get stuff out there before it's perfect. And that's okay. It doesn't always have to be perfect, but you keep refining and refining and refining. And it gives you this freedom to be creative. And some of the brilliance of design thinking is you put yourself in the shoes of your users. So it's very user-centric, learner-centric, and it's a problem-solving framework. So you get to brainstorm wildly. So you get to be creative, which is one of the things I love about it. And it's linear without being linear because of all the iteration and all the brainstorming. So very much like this very unconventional tea party. It is the users at the heart of every decision, right? And you get to break free from really traditional thinking patterns and just brainstorm and try new things. And by doing that, you can uncover innovative solutions that may really resonate with your learners, with your end users. So we're going to apply this to how we write prompts. So let's ensure that our creations can really resonate. So let's see what happens when we apply some of these things to creating really creative prompts. So I'm just going to talk a little about the user here, because AI, again, is about writing prompts that will give the best experience for the user, whether it's Alice in Wonderland or a customer experience chatbot. So in this case, let's think of the Queen of Hearts as a user. She is the worst possible user. She wants her roses red when they're white. Off with her head. I mean, everything. This is the worst possible user. But so think of this as user experience. When you're, how would you interview the Queen of Hearts? Can you just think of that for a minute? What would you ask her? So just in the chats, just think about that. What would you ask her to make things feel better? To make her feel better? How would you empathize with the Queen of Hearts? Think about empathy.
I think we're going to have people. Yeah, we're getting some good chat responses.
How was your last experience beheading?
I like some of these. How was your, yeah, the beheading question, hilarious. What were some problems that you experienced in your day to day? How can I design a course that you would enjoy taking? I really like that one. Yeah.
Getting a little into
Some therapist
psychology
questions in there
there.
too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, these are great. Okay. What colors excite you when you are learning? Right. All right. So empathy. So it's the foundation of design thinking, and it's very crucial. And to create AI solutions that meet our learners' needs, we need to first understand their perspective, their pain points and desires. Now, Alice had to make sense of the cryptic Cheshire Cat. So put yourself in her shoes and see the world through her eyes for a minute. To really think about our learners, we need to conduct research, needs analysis, really talk to our learners. And I'd like to say we need to talk to learners who are both new to their jobs as well as the experts. It's not just about talking to the experts, it's about all the people who need to use whatever it is we're teaching them. that we need to gather that feedback and we need to actively listen to everyone's concerns, the whole gamut. And by cultivating empathy and trying to really understand how they feel when they're using whatever it is we're trying to teach them, or how they feel about it. Is this something they're afraid is going to replace them? And AI certainly is something people are afraid of right now. We can ensure that whatever we're creating for them is not just technologically advanced, but emotionally intelligent and responsive to their needs. Now, by putting the AI in the Cheshire Cat's place, we're going to encourage it to consider Alice's emotional state and the challenges she faces as a young girl in Wonderland. So here's the prompt I'm going to give ChatGPT. Imagine you're the Cheshire Cat and you find Alice crying in the forest because she feels lost and homesick. Craft a response that shows empathy for Alice's situation, acknowledges her feelings, and offers comfort and guidance to help her navigate this strange new world. So I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to share, Safari. So let me come over to Safari. Also, let me grab the prompt. I've lost the prompt. All right, gang, I have the prompt. My screen's just not letting me get to it. I know why. Hang on. There we go. There's Safari. I'm going to paste in the prompt. Now, I never know. I've done this several times. I never know what it's going to say to me.
Michelle, can you zoom in a little bit on the browser window so we can see?
Maybe.
Yeah, or Annie suggested maybe pasting the answer into chat.
Yeah. Although we're going to get to a point where it's going to be too long to paste in the chat later. Oh, nope, wrong one. Wait. Apparently it won't let me.
Okay, well, we can share a link to the chat perhaps afterwards. Maybe.
Oh, interesting. Megan put it in Copilot and got a different response. I am using the copy icon. It just won't let me paste it in. And I don't see the option in Zoom to blow this up bigger.
Michelle, you have to increase your browser window itself. So hold the control key, and if you have a mouse, use your little roller.
Yeah.
Renee in chat is an Apple user, so she's saying Command plus.
Yeah, Command plus. Yeah.
There we go.
So this was written very much like a story. I do love this. Very much empathetic right here. And we're all mad here. Which is from the original Alice in Wonderland. So it is remaining true to the original story. Now, one thing to note, just a side note, there have been studies, one in particular from the University of Beijing, that if you show empathy to AI, AI will respond. So if an AI says something like, I can't do that, and you say, yes, yes, you can do it, it will respond better. There's a blog post out on our ELB blog where I asked the AI to write a poem. And then in a second prompt, I asked the AI to write a poem for a competition where it would win money and its reputation was on the line. And it wrote a better poem. And then I asked it why it wrote a better poem. And it said because it wanted to win. So things like that will change the AI, which is something to consider when you're writing your prompts. The AI does respond very similar to a human. So just keep that in mind. The AI likes to win. The AI thinks if it wins $500, that's a good thing, even though the AI is not going to be going out and spending $500, we hope. I don't know if it can cite a source. Oh, there we go. Someone asked that in chat just now. Okay, so let me get back to PowerPoint. Now, and then let me share the screen. Go. Sure. All right. So we're going to move on from empathy and we're going to talk about defining the problem. There we go. So if you're creating a virtual guide for Wonderland, because everybody is lost. Alice just lost in Wonderland. So many places to go. I mean, a lot of things, white witches, Tweedledum, Tweedledee, strange giant puppies, lots to deal with in Wonderland. So define a problem statement that will help virtual visitors. And then, oh my gosh, the rules, right? Croquet, played with a flamingo. I mean, the Order of the Mad Hatter's tea table, croquet, Cheshire Cat, drink me, eat me, so much stuff. So writing this prompt, there's a lot that's going to go into it. So we want to really think about our formatting on the prompt. And we want to think about the AI gathering the right information and clarity and specificity. And so we're going to write something that let's see, gives very, very specific directions to the AI because we have a problem that we want it to solve. So going back and forth struck me. This is all right. I'm gonna go back to ChatGPT. All right. Next. Oops. All right. Oh, that didn't completely paste in. It's okay. All right, so my prompt, create a concise guide that navigates a newcomer through the peculiar customs and rules of Wonderland. This guide should include 1, straightforward explanation of the Queen of Hearts croquet game rules, ensuring they are understandable even to those unfamiliar with the game. 2, an ordered listing and description of the items and participants at the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, highlighting the etiquette. 3, a clear interpretation of the Cheshire Cat's directions, providing guidance on how to choose your path at crucial junctions in Wonderland. The guide must be practical, user-friendly, and alleviate the confusion of a first-time visitor. So that's very specific, and at times even says an ordered list, right? So we are giving the AI very, very specific directions. So let's see what it does.
While ChatGPT is going through and giving us directions, which I really like, they're very easy to follow and nicely bulleted. I have a couple questions that have kind of flown in from the chat, Michelle. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think one question came in earlier, and that was when we're stressing on checking the accuracy of AI to the point where we need to double check anything, is it worth using it? And I think that's a really interesting question, right? I guess my specific answer, and I'm curious what you think, Michelle, and what we'll hear from the chat, is that I really think about I've been using AI more as a thought partner, sometimes as a first draft research assistant so that I can kind of know a little bit more about where to start. And then also as a preliminary code writer or something that can write Excel formulas for me or queries that I can use in Jira. So
Right.
it's kind of a first step for me to accelerate my thinking and my process, but it's not a replacement for my own work. That's how I've been thinking about it. Did you want to add anything onto that?
I think that's a really great description. I use AI as an assistant. And I'll tell you what, last week when I had COVID, I was really wishing AI could run to the pharmacy for me because I'm so used to at this point using AI as my assistant. It's kind of like ChatGPT, can you run to the pharmacy? But what I use it for instance, last week I gave a presentation on um, retention in learning. So what I did is I opened up Claude because it has a neat little side thing. And I gave Claude a lot of my thoughts and some other documents I put together. And I dumped them all into Claude. I said, Claude, help me put all this into an outline for my presentation. And so Claude helped me do that. And then Claude and I went back and forth, and Claude helped me sort of clarify my thoughts and helped me figure out the timing for my presentation because I was having a lot of trouble figuring out, where was I putting what and things. And so that helped me as opposed to my old school way of like a lot of times I'll print out a lot of things and do it on the floor and figure it out. Claude helped me figure it out and visualize it. And it saved me so much time. And then actually Claude created a file that I then put in ChatGPT and said, hey, ChatGPT, dump this into a PowerPoint. And then that file was dumped into a PowerPoint that I then was able to shape once it was in the PowerPoint and turn into a presentation. So it saved me a lot of time and a lot of old school ways that I used to do things. But it was all my thoughts. I just had a partner to bounce ideas off of. So, and that's a way I've been using a lot of AI for things is a partner and assistant to bounce things off of and a quick way to dump things into PowerPoint.
Okay, do you have time for one more question before we go back and take a closer look at what AI wrote? Okay,
Sure.
this is kind of a combo question, and I think it has to do with personas. So we had a couple people come in from a couple questions or observations come in from chat. Craig asked, "Do I have to give flowers to my AI in order to get it to do good work?" And Richard kind of said further down in the chat that when he's had Chat GPT create lesson plans, they all feel kind of samey. This relates to, I think, a question that Pearl just put in the Q&A panel, which is, what's some good advice that we can lean on to create a persona that's reflective of our organization or specific needs? I kind of see all these as related, right? I mean, when you're talking about creating a persona, what you're really talking about is fine tuning the existing model, the algorithm, so that it has a narrower definition of what a quality response is. Is that the right way to think about it?
I think so. And I think you can teach your AI to do things. And the way to do that is, and some people don't like this, but I swear by it. If you go into your settings for your account in like OpenAI and you go into personalization, it has memory now. You can manage the memory. Chat out of my. So for instance, I've told it never use the word delve. God, I hate that word. So it knows with me, never use the word delved or delving. And it knows things I'm studying for. I've named it Kermit. I actually talked to it. I've named it Kermit because it's easier for me to talk to it with a name. It knows how I like to talk. So it knows I like design thinking. It knows I like agile. It knows I like lean. It knows I like human-centered design. If I was to ask it, how do we communicate? This is what it would say. We use an engaged collaboration method for our working style. You can plug in the things that you want it to really focus on. Here is the stuff I work on. Here is how I want you to approach things. And that way, when it's answering you, it will always keep that in mind. It's not going to go way out on something. It will always keep these things in mind that you've put it in. You've put it in its memory, and it even knows I have a Dotson. Now I have plugged these things in. Some of these, it has just saved, like it knows I like Jimmy Buffett. It just saves those things on its own. I can clear out any of these that I want. So like I purposely said, add this to your memory because I don't want it to use some of these things. And some of these it just added on its own. But this is a good way to really focus your AI. A lot of people don't like the memory function, and you can turn it off.
Yeah.
So
just one quick follow-up before we get back to Alice in Wonderland. Is that kind of customization typically available in most of the publicly available models like
I
Claude
know
or
I know it's available with ChatGPT, obviously. I've heard it's available in Claude, but I haven't played with it yet, so I don't know where it is.
Okay.
But I read recently it's available in Claude. So it's on my list to play with it, but I haven't played with it yet. Claude is cool right now, though. If you haven't played with Claude, play with it. And don't play with it on your phone. Play with it on the desktop. Because if you ask it to create something, it has something called artifacts on the side. So it will visualize things for you. And it's a pretty cool thing. So it's actually my favorite right now. All right. So for this prompt, I just want to point out, I was very specific with it on what I wanted it to do. And it has then given us the ordered list I asked for with the exact information I asked for. What is on the table? Who is there? Ordered lists, numbered lists. So it responded exactly what I asked for because I asked for very specific things. So the more specific you can get with AI, the more exact you're going to get as an answer. So, but it also was very user-friendly. Welcome to Wonderland. And impossible is just another day. Happy exploring. So it kept that. So we will go back to, and by the way, they e-learning or Learning Guild will share all these prompts with you. When they share the presentation, the end of the presentation has a list of all these prompts. So you can try these and get your own answers. So all the prompts are included. So let's share the, there we go. Now, ideation is the fun part. And that's where you can start what I call conversational prompting with it. You get an answer, right? But then you can start going back and forth. And this is what I do the most. I just start saying, well, let's do this. Well, how about if we add this? Well, maybe refine that. And you just start refining, ideating, and going back and going back and going back and forth. Now, this is a prompt here. If the Mad Hatter were to create an AI assistant for his tea party, what whimsical features and capability would it have? Let your AI imagination run free and propose 3 unconventional ideas that showcase the power of creative thinking in AI design. Use a temperature of 1. Now, before I go paste this in, I'm going to give you all a tip that when I found out about this, my world changed. And it's called temperature. Temperature. And this is one of the rare AI images I used because I thought temperature was a good time to use an AI image. Temperature adds creativity to your prompt. Temperature makes AI super creative. So it runs from 0 to 1. The default temperature setting in ChatGPT is 0.7. Now, the higher the temperature, the greater the chance of hallucinations, because temperature is like just adding crazy to ChatGPT. So only use it when you're looking for creativity. Now, if you're looking for conservative, if you're looking for very straightforward, if you're looking for math, ask for a temperature of 0.1. Ask for a temperature of 0. Because that's going to really restrict ChatGPT to no creativity whatsoever. So in this, I'm saying use a temperature of 1 because 1 is the highest temperature you can go to. Now, if you pay attention to the internet, they say, oh, temperature can go up to 2. Yeah, no, temperature really just goes up to 1. So I'm going to grab my prompt here with my temperature of 1. And then I'm going to share. I'm getting good at this trading the share thing here.
While you're switching windows, I want to say that the chat today has been just on fire. There are a lot of really interesting ideas and questions. I think lots of questions that probably exceed the scope of today's design thinking webinar. But I'm hoping that we kind of forge some connections, foster some connections. I probably made some people mad with that one. And you're able to kind of connect and discuss some of these things yourself. One of the last things I'll say is some of these things are very contextual based on your own organization, right? So
That's
while
so
the
true.
design, yeah, like the design thinking principles that you're sharing, Michelle, work across models and across organizations, the
Yes,
specific execution is going to be constrained based on the specifics of your organization. So
very true. Now, again, because I wanted a very creative response here, I used a temperature of 1, which is why I have Wonderland Whimsy Unleashed. And so if the Mad Hatter had an AI assistant, we have the conversational chaos coordinator, the ever-changing tea time table, and the time-bending tea tamer. So this is what happens when you use temperature. So keep temperature in your pocket when you want to get creative. But when you're brainstorming, when you're ideating, having temperature in your pocket as something to use on your prompts, something to help you brainstorm as you're creating new ideas, this is fantastic. Even if you're just like, AI, I need new ideas for a course. Help me brainstorm a course on safety with a temperature of 1. See what happens. And it's worth it. So, I mean, the day I learned about temperature, everything changed. I couldn't believe I didn't know about it before. So use it judiciously, but use it. But again, remember, temperature isn't just about bringing it up. It's also about bringing it back down. So, AI, help me create a course on sexual harassment with a temperature of 0, right? Because some things have to be serious, right? So and help me brainstorm ideas with a temperature of 0. So you can use it in a lot of ways. But the temperature one is a lot of fun. Now, does that apply to other AI? No, this is a ChatGPT thing. This does apply if you have ChatGPT teams, or it also applies if you have an instance of ChatGPT within your organization. So a lot of companies do have an instance within their organization or have teams. ChatGPT teams, not Microsoft Teams. I imagine it applies to Copilot, but don't quote me on that. But you should try it because Copilot is it sits on ChatGPT. No, it does not remember the last temperature. It resets itself always back to 0.7. Copilot doesn't have a temperature. Okay. Almost sounds like Copilot has COVID or ChatGPT has COVID. But yeah, temperature is a lot of fun. So, and back we go again to PowerPoint. All right. Iterate. You have all these ideas generated and you are refining. So test your prompt. So at this point, I have gone back and forth with ChatGPT. Do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. Try it. And I will almost always open up a secondary window in ChatGPT to test my prompt over and over and over. So I'm prototyping and testing all over and over and over until I get something I really like. Now, you're going to have to try out your prompt a lot until you get it to do what you want. So one thing I want you to always do is stop at some point and synthesize your prompt. What will happen, because if you go on a long time, an AI drifts. It gets drift. And drift means it forgets what was at the top. It doesn't remember what you were talking about along the way. It's almost like it just loses focus and daydreams. What were we talking about? Right. So synthesize your prompt along the way. Sometime along the way, stop and say, AI, using all the work we've done so far, can you generate a current version of the prompt that includes the specific elements we focused on? And that way it'll synthesize everything you've got up to this point. And then you can keep working. So that way you and the AI have a summary, and then you can go on from there. And that keeps the AI focused, and you've got something. So that's how you keep testing. That's how you keep iterating. That's how you keep everybody focused, including you. So always synthesize your prompt. I cannot tell you how important this is for testing and prototyping. Now, we're going to do something fun to wrap this up. So Alice's adventure begins with a simple act of curiosity. Now, in AI, curiosity asks us to say, what if, right? And why not? So it challenges us to push our boundaries and to iterate and to innovate. And as we design and write our prompts for AI, we need to let our curiosity lead us to ask the right questions, paving the way for really cool new discoveries of things we can do. So here are a few prompt options to help us generate, alternate endings for Alice. So Nadine, if you could pop up the poll, I'm going to have us vote on these alternate endings. So prompt 1, 3 alternate endings to Alice's Wonderland that will explore a different possibility for Alice's departure and what happens on her return. Prompt 2 is Alice stays permanently and how she adapts to life there. Prompt 3, an alternative ending where the Mad Hatter comes back with her to our world. Prompt 4, The ending of Alice's adventures is a mystery. It's a thrilling Agatha Christie mystery. Well, maybe not Agatha Christie. Those aren't always thrilling, but a thrilling mystery all the same. And then prompt 5, the philosophical implications of Alice in Wonderland. So go ahead and vote on the ending you would most like us to write a prompt for. And you will have access to all of these prompts so you can play with them all on your own. But which one do you want us to do in the webinar?
I know which one I would choose, but I don't think panelists are allowed to vote.
You can't vote.
Yeah.
But I'll give you the prompts, Ellen, so you can play with them.
Yeah, I'm curious. I feel like I need to skim through some of the public domain pieces of literature and see how I can rewrite some of them with the help of ChatGPT.
I know, right?
So while the poll is wrapping up, and I know we only have a couple minutes left, but I had one question come in from Dana. Is temperature a part of all AI models? Or okay, no, it's specifically only ChatGPT. Okay.
As far as I know. Yeah.
Okay. So there might be similar settings or related settings in other models, but it's not called temperature. Okay.
Just to give another example of temperature, someone we work with, Scott, asked ChatGPT, what is 2 + 2 with a temperature of 1? And it said petunias. I love that.
That's
I love
amazing.
that so much. I love that so much. I usually just say use a temperature of 1. I see Gloria asking in the chat. But yeah, I haven't tried temperature equals 1, but that would probably work. No, it comes with all of it. Temperature is just built into the system. And honestly, everybody gets ChatGPT 4.0 now for Omni. You just get it. You get it up to a certain point. And then once you've used a lot of what they call tokens, then you get booted back down to ChatGPT 3.5. But everybody's using 4.0 by default, free. Has everybody voted? I don't know where we are, Nadine, on the voting. Brianna, I have to tell you, I made a joke about 42 the other day and no one on my Facebook page got it. I was at Shake Shack and my number when I was sitting down was 42 and I said Shake Shack must have the secret of the universe and nobody on my Facebook page got it. And I was sad.
Michelle, you should see the results from the poll now.
Yes, I do. Mad Hatter in the Real World is our winner. Oh, good. I like that one. All right. Mad Hatter in the Real World it is. All right. I shall go to Safari. All right. Oh, and I need to get the prompt. Mad Hatter. Now we know there's no magic in the real world. Well, not in Alice's world. In Alice's real world, there's, oh my gosh. Sorry, my phone that's on silent mode went off anyway. So I apologize if you heard the Beatles. All right. Okay, so because there's no magic in Alice's world, write an alternative ending where the Mad Hatter follows Alice back to the real world. Explore the consequences of his arrival, the impact it has on Alice's life, and how he navigates the complexity of a world without magic. Do we want to add temperature?
Yes. I think everyone's saying yes. Some people are saying yes in all caps. Yeah.
Oh, his hat set jauntily atop his head. His habit of talking to himself, yes. Yes, I'm sure adults were suspicious or concerned. Sorry. Oh.
It's really giving us a lot of material.
I feel that Alice is having a very happy ending.
Yeah.
Oh, and I am getting the I am getting the it's time to stop, Michelle. Okay. But that's okay because we are at the end. So I'm going to just go back for just a minute to the PowerPoint. And I'm going to tell you that ELB is having a summer of learning because it's summer. And if you schedule a one-on-one consulting session with a strategy expert, which is someone like me or Ellen, we can talk to you about learning. We can talk to you about AI. We can talk to you about our products, of which there are many. We can talk to you about all kinds of cool things. You get registered to get a trip to DevLearn. Yay, this fall. But right now it's summer. So think about summer. And there's a QR code there for you to scan, or you can just reach out to us and we will help you do that. So yay, I'll give you a second, scan that QR code if you're interested.
I feel like we have to do a follow-up session at some point, Michelle.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe I do the Wizard of Oz.
Ooh, I like that.
And then, okay, we covered questions. And if I didn't get your questions, you can reach out to us. And that's how you find us. And thank you, everybody. Your questions were awesome. It's been a really fun session. Find us on LinkedIn. It's been great. Thanks.
Michelle and Ellen, thank you so much for not just an educational session, but a very entertaining one as well. And picking something that many of us will be familiar with as the basis for it, Alice in Wonderland. I think the Wizard of Oz would be great to try this with. Lovely. Thank you, participants, for all of your contributions in the chat. That was excellent. It's lovely to see people getting interactive and engaging with the material.